Hey, what's up, everybody? Hunter Orel here, back with another great episode. Today, joined with the founder of Eliza OS and AI16z, Shaw. Now, if you were paying attention, or even if you weren't, there's no way you missed the AI meta that we had earlier this year in January, blowing up, absolutely taking over. We saw valuations of companies like AI16z have valuations up in the $3, $4, $5 billion marks. It was absolutely mayhem. And to get to talk to Shaw, I think we get a great look at what it was like during that chaos, what it's been like since then, obviously with the market taking a bit of a dip, and what he sees as the future for not only AI, agents, and launch pads, but how that can be navigated by anybody who's trying to either build with it or look for what the future might be for tokens or the right companies and the new metas that we might see happening. It's a great conversation. I think there's a ton of value. One of the big things that we get into is the value of attention and how that they leveraged it and how others are leveraging it. And I think for me, at least, I took a lot away from it, especially when it comes to open sourcing and showing people what you're building and not trying to keep it behind a wall. Very, very helpful. And I hope you take it away as a good point as well. As always, thank you for tuning into these episodes. It means a lot that there's people who care about the people that I'm talking to and at least my commentary a little bit. And a shout out to loot.gg, who is today's sponsor for the episode. If you haven't already, go to loot.gg and sign up for their waitlist today. Without any further ado, here is Shaw from AI16z. Hey, what's up, everybody? Today we are joined with, and you've heard his name before. I know it because if you are in Web3, there's no way you missed the AI bonanza chaos that we had. And in the middle of all of it was AI16z. And the man behind that, Shaw himself. Shaw, I'm so glad to have you here today. Excited to chat AI, agents, launch pads. There's so much to get into. I think the best way to start here, though, is maybe a more professional introduction of who you are, just so folks understand who we're talking to today.
Yeah, my name is Shaw. I'm a longtime influencer and streamer. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding, just kidding. I don't know how I got here, man.
I mean, you are. To an extent, you are. Some of the biggest streams that we've probably seen on the coding side.
Yeah. I mean, I
Influencer
think people
of
are just like
GitHub.
watching me for Alf. Like, what the hell is this? Like, I'm sure he's gonna drop a CA somewhere in this 5-hour stream. I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm a programmer. I love AI agents. I love products. I love building stuff. I code a lot. I code live. I try to work with people. Like just bang ideas out as quickly as possible. I love vibe coding, but I also have been doing this way too long. So. Yeah, but I think my main interest is obviously like AI projects. Before this, I was working on a nonprofit and doing like AI data processing at scale, and I'm very interested in governance. But obviously, bots that shill meme coins is probably what people know me for.
It is crazy because out of nowhere, my Twitter feed turned into agents, shilling tokens, talking tokens, and that came out of you. I gotta ask, and I know you've answered this before to some extent, but where did this idea for Eliza come from?
Yeah.
And I guess the end of that question is like, did it play out the way that you expected today? I know in the middle of the chaos, like you're like, I never expected this, but like we're at a kind of a turning point of like you're going into V2. There's new ends that you have in sight and goals. But is this going the way you planned it to go out when you first started?
It's like we kind of ended up where I thought we would end up, but not the way that I thought we would get here at all. In 2023, I was like, okay, about 2 years ago, I had published something, and I already had an agent called Eliza with an Ethereum wallet and the whole thing. It was like clear, like, okay, agents are going to have wallets. They're going to have their own identities, all this stuff. And I put out a whole thing, put out like videos and an agent, and just like nobody cared. Nobody cared. And then we rebuilt it, a whole other thing, and got it running on Twitter. And launched again. And I had Eliza followed by Mark Andreessen, and just didn't stick. And I think that there was definitely something medically missing. Like it was the agent thing, but It was really Truth Terminal that broke this all open for all of us. And I think there's something really important about memetics that I didn't know at the time, which is that it needs to be both like mundane and weird. Like, there's somebody said this, like there's the three things of memes, or like mundanity, weirdness, and something else, just like being kind of droll or whatever. And there's just the fact that True Terminal was like silly and weird and made Fartcoin like just like open people's minds to the meme of what agents could be. So I definitely don't think we would be here. Like technically, like, you know, we were all doing different things, but in the same realm. But it was like that cultural flashpoint, I think, where like suddenly everyone like woke up to what I was doing, you know, because they're like, well, what else is like Truth Terminal? Like, we've been doing this for years, guys. You know, we had it all ready to go. And so
Right.
yeah, so I think that's kind of how it went down. Obviously I thought, okay, we're going to release, you know, we're going to have an AI DAO and it's going to go this way. And what we've actually built has changed quite a bit based on what people wanted and asked for and seemed to care about. But we basically have got around to building all the things we thought we would build. And, you know, we're pretty much where we thought we'd be, if that makes sense. You know?
What a crazy ride. I have to also ask, I think for a lot of the people that come from programming backgrounds originally, in their minds when they think AI projects are building out, they think Web 2 Rails. Why Web 3 Rails? Do you think that was what made this blow up the way it did? Do you think more people from original background of coding and Web 2 should start looking to build on Web 3?
I think there's a lot of things going on there. Personally, I am just very nerd sniped by Web3. Even more than like blockchains, like I love the idea that we can cryptographically sign stuff and prove who we are, and then we can have agents do the same thing with just like 2 lines of code, like very, very simple. I don't even need any APIs. I could just be like, cool, generate a private key, and now I can sign stuff and prove it. And I love that idea. And I love that I could like build an entire game where everything had a wallet. And there's people doing this, you know, quite a lot of people doing this now. Uh, and I guess shout out to like Realms Eternum is probably a good example of agents in a game that have wallets and have their, you know, you can like kill them and take their stuff. And so I'd also been working on a game called Small World with the Treasure with Treasure DAO, and still going. I think it's awesome. And so I had this like real appreciation, I guess, for like the, you know, the more like NFTs and like it's wallet as an inventory system and
Sure.
kind of these aspects. I think that really made sense with video games as well as agents, right? Like they just map very perfectly to that, like that, you know, there's a person and they need stuff. And so it just always seemed very obvious to me. And just like if this was good, like in the future, 100 years from now, this is obvious and inevitable. Like there's just no other way. So it's just about like an if and when. And I think that, you know, building in Web3 is like, there seems to be, I kind of wrote this the other day of like, it's like we're all the same party because there's a lot of beer, but we actually like are here for having different conversations, right? You know, like some people just like gambling. And I think instead of saying, oh, well, crypto shouldn't be about, it's like you should have the most gambly experience over there for people who want, you know, the casino. And then you can also, with the same technology, can build, you know, a new way to govern, you know, communities and systems and organizations and stuff. And they don't have to be the same thing. They can be different. But because we're all technologically tied to the hip, we've kind of have this like one crypto culture, right? And I think that a lot of people like you know, despise it or love it or whatever it is, but it kind of just is like how they feel about the current conversation. And I think that this actually has a lot to do though with how founders relate to crypto. You know, personally, and the people I know, it's not really about like which blockchain should I use or TPS. Like no, it's like, are they going to respond? Do they hate me for this? I don't know. You know, you know, or do they like me? Do they get it? You know, so I think that's the founders who stick around are probably the ones who find some degree of PMF and cultural fit, I guess, if that makes sense. And that's
Right.
probably stuff you got to be looking for, you know.
I think a lot of people on that kind of analogy of like casino versus there's different, you don't have to play in that realm. You can play other areas. A lot of people though during the, and again I go back to like the heyday of AI agents and tokens. It, a lot of people would argue like, hey, that it was a casino of some sort. Um, do you think with what you're building today and the since we've matured from then, we are moving away from that to more like fundamentals? Or are we still in a casino?
Well, I'm definitely not contributing to make it less of a casino in some way. Um, I so like this kind of brings us to auto fun.
Yeah.
generally, I think that people were speculating on tokens who were like, well, we don't, none of this is all price discovery. None of us know what this is.
Sure.
First off, we discovered like a new form of performance art that we were all privy to, like a totally new form of art, right? That we all got to experience together. That's just like, is this worth money? I don't know. Is any like, but it was cool. It was interesting, right? Like, what a weird time, you know. Um, and I think we all got to collectively go through this thing and have this like experience of price discovery of like what is worth anything. Is attention the valuable thing? Like AI XBT is he's maybe not the most accurate like caller, but he gets a lot of attention and he's fun to interact with. Like, is that worth $300 million? Like, yeah, I would say yes. I would say like there are many companies raising a lot more money that have a lot less going for them than like the dudes behind AI XBT. Um, and I think like with us, we're a different case because we never really, the value was never really like our, like, yes, we have attention, but it was always more like the tech's ability to create attention for other people, I guess. That's kind of priced into this network effect.
Right.
um and so now that we're becoming more of like a professional, like dialed in thing, I think that we have to prove like, no, this is not just a flash in the pan. Like, this stuff is actually going to really impact people like long term and be useful. I think that's the big thing we have to really show. But in our own journey, um, I started to come to the conclusion of, not that I don't dislike the casino. I actually really like the casino. I think it needs to be very different. I think we need to have a clear delineation between the pump fun and the stuff we're doing with auto fun and the like tech stuff. Like, I actually want to come to Web3 to play games and have fun. And I also want to come to Web3 for like a job and to like build something I care about. And they don't have to be the same thing, right? So early on, we started a DAO, and our DAO has like 100,000 plus holders now, and a lot of pressure for tokenomics for sure. Like, how okay, cool, we put money into this meme coin. How does it make money? Obviously, every time people buy meme coins and they get above a certain point, they just start asking for utility and fundamentals again. Um, so that tells you something about the reality of the
Is
market.
that needed though? That's I think the ultimate question that comes back to, like, if it's a meme coin and you bought in for a meme, does it ever need to stop ceasing to just be a meme?
I would say revealed preferences. And if you look at like Bonk is just a meme, but they are now a business of creating distribution for new launchpad and all this other stuff they're doing. And I think that's the inevitability of any coin that has like some amount of people behind it who are driving it. And anybody who's like the face of it is going to have pressure to make the people more money number go up. And so we have this inevitability of like the revealed preferences that people end up always pressuring the team to create utility.
Is that though, to your point of you guys, the value there being like we can put attention on things and drive value to it? Is that not, as number goes up, more attention flocks, and then you have the ability to monetize against that with that attention? Is that almost? I mean, that seems like the snare in the grass there for any team that gets high market cap. Then
Yeah, I mean, that's a great thesis for like when things are really, really good. But I would say that like, I can't just go release crap, and like we have to release stuff that's actually good product at this point to I think, continue to have respect, and also just to like I think all of these things are very you could be in one day and out the next day, and it really comes down to what you put out. So I don't think we could just put out like a really low effort, like, okay, you give us money, cash grab thing. I think we have to work really hard at this point, and create products. And so with auto fun, we were like, okay, we're just gonna, think about this like in January when things were really hot. And if we had put out like pretty much any launch pad, it probably would have been insane and exploded. So we bought a team to launch a launch pad, and it just didn't go the way we thought it would. The development was really slow, and it was like, okay, it's March and we still haven't launched a 2-page launch pad, like like a Let's Bonk looking thing. Like, what the hell? And I basically dropped off of Eliza, pulled my team in, and took over, and we just rebuilt the whole thing. And so I had no intention of building a launch pad, but our community really wanted it. And once it kind of came down to it, it just did not look or feel the way that I would want like something that we created to be. We like brand and characters and product, something like a good UX, even if it's like a shaky early launch. So we just kind of like said, okay, well, we're gonna have to own this thing and just make it a good product, and that's what we've been doing for like the last 2 months. And so I basically made a casino. I mean, it is the most casino-y casino I think we could possibly make. It's like fully AI, like you don't even have to generate. It generates images for you. Everything is very tactile. We're adding like, more spinny, fun things to it. Um, and I think, in this experience, I kind of just got to know that sort of user, like the degen who gambles and who just wants the best thing. And I think that there's still a lot of like UX UI stuff we have to like to get there, to get that, like, someone who's just going to hang out in Axiom all day still isn't probably going to use it. But to create something that's like a mix of like what I loved about like Blur and NFT galleries back in the day, or kind of that thing with a good trading experience, with a pump fun, and to then add AI to like everything, and to try to make it the best version of itself, and to not try to make it what it's not. Like, if people want the 5IQ fun, like dopamine hit thing, we don't have to put in a whole RPG storyline there. We can just give them that casual experience. And I personally have like kind of gotten low key addicted to Pump Fun, because it's just like, of all the video games I could play like Counter-Strike, but I kind of like I like the social MMO RPG aspect of Pump Fun
It is a
more.
financialized PvP
MMO.
environment.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
I joked aside, is like, if you ever played World of Warcraft and have like played PvP in there, this is essentially the same thing on a larger scale, but with money.
Bingo. So let's just say that that's what it is, and we don't have to hate it. It is a financial video game, and it's fun, and that's why we're here. And that's not what we have to do with our day job. That's just like the thing. But yeah, so that's kind of how that came out. It was like really an accident, but in the end, it was like, if we're gonna do this, we're gonna own it and try to make it something good. And I think it's like a really cool new thing. I think it's very different. And I also think that like strategically, I think it's something we can go outside of the current crypto Twitter with, and bring in like, people off TikTok, and people who are like, what is this meme coin? I don't know. And then they come to Pump Fun, and it's like a little bit too degen. Like, if you don't know, you might not get it unless someone else. I think we have something that's a little bit more like a mainstream appeal. It's kind of my hope.
Does the attention that you've garnered to yourself through Eliza and AI16Z, does that weigh on you to an extent of like what you
Oh
like?
man.
I I can speak there's like personal experience. I stepped back from making content in 22 for personal reasons and stuff, and I just felt like everything I did was, somebody had a comment on it, whether good or bad. Um and I've gone through this with the soccer team that I own as well. Like, when everybody's looking at you and everything is going to be commented on, it almost, I feel like it's a friction point of like, even if what you're doing is going to be good, you're like, I don't know, like, we got to do it better. We got to make sure it's right, or let's wait. Like, does that really like weigh on you and affect you? Because you
Oh yeah.
were like main character syndrome for a while there.
I would say, like, if you want to know the real facts, like, I'm pretty hard on myself, and I've been kind of like grinding as an entrepreneur for a long time, so I've sort of steeled myself to it. But I've basically become like I feel a lot of pressure to deliver, like a lot. And I pretty much only get up every day, and I get up and I work until I go to bed, and I'm like kind of like survival mode, like, okay, get out of fun done, get V2 done, just get everything out there, go into the next thing, and just fight. Um, and I haven't really seen my friends or family in a while, and I have not put a lot of other like effort into other aspects of my life. Um, and and that's probably going to catch up with, like, it is catching up with me for sure. It's a lot of pressure. But on the other hand, I'm like, I do think we'll deliver all the things we wanted to deliver. It's just like, it's not exactly the most ideal life,
Sure.
so I'm definitely trying
Yeah.
to figure out how to balance that. And yeah, it's, look, I'm not like a particularly professional person. I don't know if you've noticed.
Yeah, I don't think many. No, I'm joking.
It's like a big appeal to me about crypto, is that everyone is just themselves and real, and like, and I want to be. I noticed, like, I have friends who are very rich, and they can just say whatever the fuck they want to say and be themselves, because they have no, they don't, I'm just like, yeah, man, sorry, I got like a ketamine hangover or whatever. Like, dude, you're like a billionaire, like, that's like a very like, I could never do that. And I've always been on the other side of this thing. And so I really, like, I love being open, and being in a space where we can just say what, like, I love, like Mert is a good example of somebody who like builds cool tech and just says shit that I think is fun,
Yeah,
crazy shit. I can't believe you run a company, dude, but like, sick goals. Um, and so I don't know. I think there's been a lot of that. Like, you should be more professional, and it's like, I get that, but also, like, this, dude, we're doing big booba waifus. You can both be deeply unprofessional and work all day every day, you
right.
know, and deliver stuff that's real. I don't know. I think it depends on the world we want to live in. I just don't want to live in like a shitty, boring world of suits and people saying fake things because that's what they're supposed to say. So on the other hand, being so open though, man, like yeah, I get a lot of hate. Um, anytime I click a button, I get a lot of hate, especially. So I've definitely like done things that um, pissed a lot of people off, not because they were wrong, but because they kind of like they were like culturally not good things for people in crypto to do. Like making a dog token was probably not the best choice. Um, but also I think a lot of those aspects are kind of stupid and like dumb unwritten rules, and I like smashing taboos. So I don't know. It's a weird space to be in. I think I'm just like a little bit more. I have like maybe 5% more Kanye West than you do. Maybe is that like what? I don't
I
know.
don't know if I have any Kanye West
Yeah, so I
in
don't know. Not like racist Kanye West, but just like gotta troll him a little bit before you drop the new album,
oh
Kanye West.
god.
You know, five
Yeah.
percent, 5%.
I'm gonna dodge the Kanye allegations real
Okay, okay,
quick.
okay, okay. I guess he kind of went full Nazi, and now we can't say that
I
anymore. Damn it.
oh, we did get the Kanye arc from Cerebro.
I know,
It,
man. I love Jeff. Yeah, but like that's such a good example of what we're talking about, though, right? Like dude creates albums of AI art, which like no, AI music videos, full albums, like a full interactive character you can talk to and have conversations with. Like literally create basically like one of will be known by history, I would say, if history exists anymore, as like one of the creators of a new form of art. And everyone's just like, fuck you, the number's down, why is the price down? And like I don't know, like just the most pearls before swine, like underappreciated thing. So I don't know, I kind of back his crash out. I think that was valid. I
incredible.
think
I think that would be the first agent crash out that we've seen ever, which is insane to me. That's even a sentence.
Low key, Zero Bro was crashing out the whole time. I think nobody noticed.
No, nobody knows. Yeah, that's probably fair. That's a fair way to put it. I think also because we're talking about like building and like crash outs, everything being like in your face because everything we do is socially. You build in the open to an extent that I think few have. I know some have polished it in a different way. Like we saw Pudgy Penguins come out and they did building in public, and that was a great series of very well edited and produced content. You just wake up every day, open up cursor, hit go live, and you literally show everything you're doing. And part of that you're able to do that because it's open source software. Um, Talk to me about building in public. Talk to me about why open source is the best choice for you. Do you think people should be building open source? Because I think this is a question as we build stuff, and I think a lot of other founders are like, well, I want to show people what I'm doing, but I can't because like I don't want them to know the code. Like it's an Achilles heel.
Mm, code is so cheap to make now. It's so easy. Like I've been doing this forever. I don't need cursor, but if I hadn't been and I had cursor, I'd probably be here, like whatever. It's Gemini is so fucking good. As long as you understand, like, you're on an infinite learning journey. There's no coder or not coder. And we're all just like going to Stack Overflow and trying to figure out the solution to the next bug, right? And so whatever solves that faster. Um, and I think I just feel I feel very comfortable building, and I feel very comfortable working with other people, and open source has always enabled that in a very frictionless way. And so it's just like a certain kind of way that I feel about what's comfortable for me. But I also just think that if I was like a psychopathic business person that, this is just about winning, I'd be like, dude, money doesn't matter. Code doesn't matter. Your product doesn't matter. There's one thing that matters. We all know what it is, and it is attention. And if you are afraid of people stealing your code, then you probably have a whole chain of mindset that's just going to lead you to never tell people about your stuff, and people never find your stuff. Like that just tells me like so much about a person.
Right.
Um, that they might be a good person, but they're probably NGMI. You are in a battle, you're in a war. I gave this analogy to someone, and it is a very scary war with an enemy who will take everything you have, and you have to work your ass off, and you have to shoot all of your bullets at your enemy, and then you have to take your gun and you have to throw that at them, and then you have to take anything you have. And if open source gets you more attention, if opening your code and letting 5 more people buy your product, like, then do it. Then like, what are you doing? Nothing else you have in your arsenal matters nearly as much as getting attention on your product and your stuff. And the hardest thing uh, I found is scaling beyond yourself. as being more than just one person who knows this stuff. And the only way to get other people who are really capable and competent is if they feel a sense of ownership over it as well. And the only way to get them to feel a sense of ownership is if they can come in and build it and own it with you. And even that has been really challenging. And a lot of people have come and gone and built their own frameworks and stuff, or especially bull market, where like, well, I could do my own project and get lots of millions of dollars.
Right.
But generally, it's been like a way to shine a light out there and be like, hey, I'm a weirdo who loves building all day. Like, I love this shit. If you love this shit, come do this with me. And it's kind of like, I just don't think you can build a company in the modern age where you can recruit talent, raise money, get followers, get attention without having these kinds of elements be a really important part of your loop. So I'd say, yeah, there's like a lot of idealistic reasons for open source, but I think we all kind of know those. I think what's more important to hammer home is that, like, if you are trying to win at business, you cannot hold things back anymore. We're just not in that world, and code is so cheap. It's just like, if you don't, then Nikita Beer or Levels.io or somebody's just going to come vibe code it in a weekend and take your
Right.
product. You better ship that shit fast. You better
Does
get
the
it
moat then become attention?
Yeah. Oh yeah. For sure. The moat is look. What's Facebook's moat? Nobody likes Facebook, but everyone's there. What's anyone's? What's Kanye's moat? Okay, that's different.
I I think he's got a few moats, but I don't think anybody's trying to cross them. That's the issue. That might be his
Genius,
moat.
honestly, genius.
Bro could build a bridge across his moat, and people would be like,
Yeah.
I'm good. I don't know if I'm gonna cross. That's so interesting. I takes me back to something that Gary Vee said a while back that has stuck with me since like 2018, which was like, host the party. If you're the kid in high school that's a nerd and your parents leave town and you have no social status, nobody cares about you, but you throw the cool party, you're like, hey, everybody come here. This might not be the best decision. This might go against like all intuition, but just have the party here. You become you get the attention. You're cool all of a sudden, and that allows you to level up. Hosting a
I literally did that in high school. I think I wanted to be kind of more of like a pleaser person who I wanted to be a musician. I wanted attention, but then I actually hosted the parties that did that, and it worked. It was like effective, but
yeah.
also knowing what I know now, I'm like, attention is a currency as a thing. I didn't mean to interrupt your analogy because it's
No,
great.
go ahead. Go no.
But it's a really powerful currency for building a business, but it is really fucking stressful too to have everybody looking at you and talking about you. And like, if you're a computer nerd who just like wants to build stuff, it's great to host a party because everyone's like, oh yeah, sick, I'm at Shaw's house, great. But also, man, it's so fucking weird to like go into a group chat and people are talking about you, or like there's just so much weird. It's just, to have your friends asking you to like retweet their stuff, and like, it's fine, but it really is hard to feel like connected to people and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think there's a balance there,
I could tell at some points during that it was a heavy weight on your shoulders, and um yeah, regardless of whether you did things right or wrong at certain points, there's so much attention that I don't know. It's like being in the middle of like a waterfall. It's just you're getting splashed and thrown around, and once you get out of the water, it's like, oh shit, like that was a good idea, that was a terrible idea. But in the moment, it's chaos to some extent.
Yeah. And to some degree, there's so much chaos that you look back and you're like, that was just a bunch of ideas. I don't even, dude, man, I was just like, just trying to tread water that whole time,
Do you just take ideas and you're like, I'm gonna do it? Like the best way to like test an idea is doing it.
Sometimes I think, I used to write. I used to do that a lot, and there's just so many dead code projects where I'm like, maybe I should like plan this a little more, and make sure that, like, I guess I started to value my time more, just where I could go with things. And I also lived through like VR, AR, a lot of different like hype tech, and so I'm just very, I try to be very like allergic to like, okay, cool. There's obviously something here, and there's obviously a lot of hype. What is the real thing? And I think that, there's just a lot of like directions we could go, I think, that are not fruitful. And so if you're a person who's like go 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 go, it is good to slow down and ask like, okay, but am I going to use this? Is anyone really going to use this? Like, I was kind of getting down a rabbit hole yesterday of like thinking about, okay, I should build like a coding agent. It could be in VR. I could walk around in VR, but then I'm like actually breaking it down in my head. I'm like, is that like, is that really what anybody else wants, or am I just kind of going to jerk off for 6 months? And so I try. I don't know. There's something to like, is a balance in your mind of like kind of moving forward and also planning and changing course and seeing what people want. And really, iteration is a very good word for anybody building a product, especially here. And unless you really are building something for yourself, which is not a bad idea, you're building it for other people. And I just don't think anyone ever gets it right the first time, in a lot. So yeah, so I don't know. It's kind of a mix of like just go forward and build, but also you got to plan and listen. Listening
Right.
is really critical.
Well, you're on Eliza V2 or Eliza
Mhm.
OS, which is your second go at it, I guess is a good way to put it. What is your end goal with Eliza at this point? I know you
Mm.
recently put out there that you're in your head, and I'll quote it exactly here. There aren't going to be any jobs, and there shouldn't be. And AI playing a huge factor in that. Is that where you see Eliza going? Is replacing jobs, replacing tasks? Is is the world going to be just AI and all of us sitting outside getting a tan on the grass?
Mm. I would say that like Eliza part of something bigger, right? It's not really like a forefront leader in this thing. It's just part of a movement of something that's happening, which is
Sure.
like what are like computers have always been like, hey, we have this thing that we have to do. Computers used to be like women. Like there were literally women called computers at NASA. You'd be like, oh, let's
Right.
send it to the computer. Um, or not always women, but that was like the kind of a thing that was happening in like a time when computers were invented, and they thought, okay, well, we could create, we could do a lot of this math with a machine. And so from there, it's just been more and more like, how do we get computers to do things that humans can do? So whether we call it AI or computers or automation or just whatever you want to call it, like the inevitable motion, like the direction of technology is to replace things that humans do because it's almost always cheaper and faster. And like at the end of the day, the humans probably don't want to do those things. So I don't want to live in a world where we have no purpose, and I don't want to live in a world where we have nothing to do. But most of the things that a computer could do, like I think looking back, we'll be like, well, why would I have done that? Like, like, like why would I like that work would be beneath me if a computer could do it? But we don't
Right.
really see that now. We see like, well, computer's taking away my dignity. It's taking away my purpose. And it's like, I just don't think your purpose is to work. I think your purpose could be answering questions about why we're here, what the nature of reality is, or what God is, or what like how do I raise a family well, and like how do I like really have a deep connection with people, and all these things that like I personally don't have a lot of time for in my life because I work. But I hope that what I'm working toward is an automation of that work so that I don't have to do it again. And I'd love to live in a world, but there's a fear there, right? Like if if we don't have to work because the robots are doing all the jobs and we all like receive income from that, like any other investment you might have made, you get capital gains and it's going well and you're getting dividends or whatever, then we're all happy. We all have like the same dignity and respect. Like most people in America who are rich don't work. Almost none of them. Almost all of them are investors, right? Like and make money off capital gains and investments and like other kind of strategic things like that, hedge funds stuff, whatever. um, and working is really like a middle class thing that evolved from a need for labor. And so if we replace that need for labor, like what does the world look like? And it could look like a world where um, we have no purpose and no jobs, so we just tax the rich people and then give it to everyone else, and we call that UBI. But it's you know
Yeah.
a very not ideal version of welfare, I think, with a bad chain of incentives because the people who are taxing the rich are also being voted in by the rich.
Right.
um, and or we have something else, which is what I hope we can build here. And I don't think it's a one person thing. I don't think it's like I'm gonna do this. I think it's a we all have to do this together, which is we have to build a world that's self-owned, that is self-custody, that's emergent, that maybe is not one thing or individuals, but communities and network states and groups and friends and family and cabals and like whatever things that group people together. And we have to actually get exposure to real technology, not just speculating and gambling, but actually like how come Mark Andreessen gets to get in on that freaking Anthropic round? How come I don't get to like have ownership over the technology that changes our world.
Well,
You
Mark
know,
Andreessen recently said that VC is like going to be the last frontier for AI. It's going to be the one
we'll
place
see,
AI
man.
can't do. I mean, I saw that and I like literally thought, I was like, I think there's some people in AI that would argue that. He said that the moat was chaos, that AI doesn't have chaos tolerance, which
It's so
I thought
funny.
was comical.
For such a smart guy, he's so like willfully unaware of his own role. Like, no, his power is attention. His power is that he's probably one of the most prolific tweeters in history. He's literally tweeted billions of dollars of value into companies just by giving them attention and back. Like, the only reason we're all here is because he gave Truth Terminal 50 grand. Like, this has nothing to do with chaos. It's the exact opposite. And you could totally imagine a world where there's like an AI XPT investor that's like going around like investing in projects people are pitching. And whether it's good or not, it's going to like hyperstition some percentage of them. He's getting 2 out of 10 success rate. Like, if we can get 2 out of 10 success rate on projects by like giving them shitloads of attention and value, in the, you know, knowing that the founders are real, then what is his mode at that point? Like, it's distribution. Like, okay, cool. What they really do for people is not give them money. Like, what they do is they give people money and then they multiply it, right? And they multiply it through distribution and relationships. And those things are really going to be hard to build in any kind of permissionless way. You know, like saying, hey, you know, Mark Andreessen just invested, and then he goes to like his people and says, hey, go promote them, and goes to his other portfolio companies and sets up deals with them, and you know, all these things. I think those will be hard to replicate in crypto. But the general idea of like, here is a cool idea, we can all buy in, and let's point the attention cannon. I that could totally be us. That could be a game show, you know. Um, so I just think it hasn't been cracked yet, but I definitely think he's, you know, it's a little bit of wishful thinking and not accepting, like, he's kind of proving the thesis here, which is attention is all you need, you know.
It's crazy that that has become like the theme of this conversation, is like attention at the end of the day is the most valuable part, regardless of what you're building. Like the tech could be amazing, but if nobody knows about it, if no eyes are on it, you don't have users, is it really good tech?
Yeah,
um
and the tech gets better when there are people coming and helping build it. So it becomes like a hyperstition, like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You know?
yeah, we haven't on the topic of like investing, have we really seen though AI, an agent, or a protocol or even a service do well investing yet? I don't, not off the top of my head, I haven't seen anything where I'm like, oh, that's, I mean, we've seen a lot of tokens or agents claim to be that.
Yeah.
um but it feels like we're still very far away from like automation of like, I go to bed, agent does this for me, I made $1,000.
Yeah. So we have an investor agent. He trades, but like, what magic does he have that's going to make him trade well? You know, like he can, yeah, he can totally buy and sell and make theses and decisions and post about it. Like, all that stuff is no problem. It's easy to make a trading agent. But how do you make a trading agent like good, like better than just randomly buying? And remember, we're just not just randomly buying. Like, it's not flipping a coin. It's it's like, which of these hundreds of thousands of meme coins do I buy? And the problem is not whether they go up or down. The problem is that a lot of them are scams. You know, or just like the liquidity is drained. So like everything else could look good about it. So you just end up getting into all this rule engineering, and you just basically get back to building a sniper bot. Like, the most successful bots are all snipers and copy traders, right?
I mean,
And
the
so,
earlier you buy, the better at the end of the day. Like, if you
yeah,
could be the first buy, you can never lose, essentially.
exactly. Exactly. I do think that like AI has an extremely important value in financial bots, in financial AI, like these things, which is that it lowers the barrier to entry for people to understand, like, what is an LP pool. How do I make what is yield? You know, I thought I just pressed money and gambled. There's actually ways to like make money off my money. People don't even know this stuff. And so if you had an AI agent that's like, let me explain it to you, let's go through it. Okay, cool. Now we're ready. Like, let me take you to that page. Let me do it for you. Like, okay, I think there's a lot of value there in like knowledge and discovery, and giving like a better front page than like most DeFi apps, which are like, we're revolutionizing the world with yield staking at, you know, and people are like, I don't even know any of those words. There's definitely something there to onboarding normies. I also think there's a world where everybody is moving to mini apps, and these mini apps are moving to social. Like, people are trading on Telegram, they're logging into Axiom on their Telegram or BullX or whatever. They're seeing, like, you know, all the information is coming in their group chats. And I think, so obviously, like, people are using AI, like investor bots that have some AI in them, like a Rick bot or something, but they're not. But like we haven't, like the AI is not making money for us because it doesn't have the right intelligence. So we made we have like Degen Spartan. He trades. We actually connected into auto funds. So he trades pre-bonded tokens. He's doing his thing, but it's not really attention grabbing because he's not making lots of money. And really, the reality is he makes money when the market's good. He could just buy Fartcoin and and then sell it when and he loses money when it's down. And but without having some kind of crazy special edge, which is going to be like secret intelligence, he's
Right.
just doing that. We did build
Does
another
this
thing.
come back though to his edge being if he had attention on what he was buying, he would be more profitable, which then gets him more attention, that which makes it like, is that the
Oh
end
yeah,
loop here of that's one way, or is it he can identify where attention's moving and
right. It's
that's
like
a trading strategy on its own.
is he following? Is he like tracking the motion, or is he creating it? Is really the question. And so if you think of like if AI had the ability to trade and make and like buy stuff, and was a trading bot, I think he would have had so much motion that he would have just like instantly turned everything into like $20 million coins, flip, just
Well,
consistently.
isn't this what the LA vape cabal did essentially?
Yeah, you could just automate that, right? Because like, and they're getting a lot of shit for like trading like not tracked wallets. It's a lot harder than when you basically create everything you buy. So yeah, I think there's definitely that aspect, and like in that way, like the bots could just dominate because they give this like shelling like consistent every day. There's some runner, I picked it, we all do it together. You can imagine like some sort of like coordination mechanism there that would consistently produce like a self-fulfilling token sort of thing. The other thing is much harder. I think it's much harder to actually track all the data. Like if I could predict the price of a token tomorrow, I could kind of predict anything. Like that the amount of information I would need to make an accurate prediction would be pretty impressive. So I think that like we just need to know that they can trade. They do trade. There's many. We have one. It's open source. There's many of them now built on our tech and other people's tech. But are they good? That is open. So when we started, we started with this investor idea. But my idea has always been, let's not use AI to make the trade. Let's use AI to extract the signal from people who know what they're talking about. And if we can go and like do social listening and like say, okay, well, these people are shilling these coins. Like, hey, these 10 KOLs are shilling this coin. I don't know if it's a good coin, but there's 10 KOLs shilling it. So there's obviously some motion. And I picked it up first. Like, then you can imagine like that there's probably a good, like their AI could be good, right? Because it's like getting you insider information. Or if I'm like put the AI in a group chat, and this is really what we sold with AI16z. This is like our unique spin was, well, let's just let everybody shill to the agent, and then let's let the agent actually make the buys in a paper trade situation, and then anybody who would have made it money, we give trust to, right? And so we build this trust marketplace. And so we launched this. The problem was that like it got kind of swallowed by all the other announcements. We've been sort of working on a paper on it. Had a little bit of complication with like, well, there's a lot of edge cases to how you could game that system.
Oh, I
So
100%.
you know,
If there's any industry that will find the edge cases to game a system, it is Web3.
right. So I just think it's not like a hey, let's do this in 3 weeks. I think this is like a multi-year, multi-direction thing. But I don't think that like going the BlackRock approach of like let's just absorb all the data and throw all the compute. Like I don't think that's gonna any of us are gonna win at that, right? Because we're basically up against like traditional quant people who have a massive infrastructure for this and have been doing this exact thing. Like how do we extract any sentiment from the news, any information from anything to get an edge? And they've been doing this for like 40 years with computers, So I don't think that's the direction that like we're gonna win, but it is like a really fun, interesting LARP, and I do think that we should give value to that. Like, but if it has attention and it tells you to buy a thing like that, that might be a more effective trading strategy than being super smart. You
Right.
know,
It's a fair. It's such a crazy way to look at it. Are you? I mean, because you guys aren't at the end of the day a trading, like you're not building a trading product. You're building infrastructure to allow trading to happen, to allow social interactions to happen. You've built a launch pad, so maybe you are more aligned to that than not. Um, I guess one area I ask, because my background is like building trading products and currently building trading products. Like, are you guys in the mindset of like, okay, we build this infrastructure and then we are looking to like patch into like other infra to allow for ELIZA to be the strongest infrastructure. To, if you can dream it, you can bring it to life. And we've seen a lot of this through recent months with like MCP becoming very popular. And I think a lot of people, like when I build, I'm building with the idea of like, how do I build a platform where agents can come use it? If they want to use my services, if they want to use what we've built for a human, why are we not allowing the other 50%, where if if half of the transactions on blockchain are going to be agents, why are we shutting them out? I think that's a terrible business model to not build with agents and AI infrastructure in mind.
Oh, I totally agree.
Is that how you guys are approaching this? Of like, well, we, even if you didn't build for us, we're looking for those partners. I think this is good for anybody who's building something right now to like understand um, that they don't have to go build their own thing, that they just need to build their service to be digestible to what you're building.
Oh yeah, a few things on that. Like since we started, we've had a lot of pressure to build an L1. Like everybody, like build L1. And why? It's because L1s are how we do TGEs. It's how investors buy it. Everybody understands the economics. There are more L1s than there are apps that have 10,000 plus daily active users in crypto. Like that's kind of nuts to me. Um, so why didn't we build an L1? Well, if we did, then we would have lost most of our key partners. Like most of our key partners that we work with are like, Polygon and Arbitrum and all these people that we're doing cool stuff with and like trying to actually seed the Web3 with like grants and agent stuff and all these things. And we have no competition with them whatsoever, right? And I think that people who, if I were just like a Web3 entrepreneur starting from zero, I think there is a wide open space for people building apps. And I think those apps can be like you just are not in competition with the chains. And maybe instead of being stuck to one ecosystem, like you have so much opportunity to create your own fate and really actually help the chain. Like you are driving volume to the chains. Like the only reason when I think of Solana, I think of Phantom, I think of Pump Fund. I think of like the 5 things that really make Solana. And if they weren't there, it would be like a whole other thing. And I think that's very important. And I think agents are kind of unique in that it's like a new kind of service that there hasn't been a whole lot of competition, and it just isn't competing with the other Web3 infrastructure. So I definitely think if you're doing this, like those infrastructure integration is like probably the most important thing. And I think that, definitely there's a lot, something I learned, like, kind of crash course on. There's a lot of people who just want to, get on the BD call and like do an announcement, especially when you're hot and they just want to announce a thing and they like kind of check their box. But especially bull market, like the people I'm talking to now are like they really want agents in their platform, like they really do want this to be part of their tech stack. And so I think the L1s and L2s, if you're not competing with them, are incredibly good partners for anybody in Web3. Like you basically, you have to have partners like that,
Right.
and a lot of them are giving you grants and support and connections and introductions, and super important. And then I think just generally like being app layer and being somewhat agnostic is huge. And so with AutoFund, it's Solana, but we're about to add EVM integration, and it's open source launchpad with multi-chain. I think I just haven't seen that done yet. And I like, really, that's the world I want to see, is like the app layer kind of just glossing over the awkwardness of the current
So do we
fragmentation.
just need more apps? Is like the call to action to builders is like
Yeah.
build apps. Stop building infra that exists already or trying to compete and like at the wrong end of, I think, this the spectrum or the pipeline, but like go build apps. That's what we need. That is what we're missing.
And we got to stop seeing agents as this magical thing. It's not magical. It's not some new tech. It's just apps. Agents are mini apps for social media now. So don't just build apps, but build apps that other people haven't built yet in places they haven't built yet. What's unique about AI agents is like, well, now I could build a Calendly that works in your Twitter DMs. Like, that's you. Don't you want that shit? I want that shit.
Yeah, that
Right?
would save you a lot of fucking
Incredible.
time.
Incredible. Who's building that? Go build it. Like, take that idea. Go raise money. I think there's so many of those where like the problems are like, well, you had to build a Web2 startup and have a landing page and get people to sign up and like put their Stripe in. Now you just be like, get in their freaking group chat. Like my KPI for this year with Eliza is like, how many agents can we get into how many servers? Because that's people using it, interacting. And so I think we should be, I think sure, there's a whole new wave of L1s coming and they're solving some cool new problems, but like that's all just like that's like, oh, there's another Amazon. Like if we actually take away the like it's decentralized, what you're talking about is like, great, there's 3 more Amazons in the world. Like who gives a fuck? Like
Right.
if there's got to be new apps. Like none of us care like that, oh, there's more TPS or like you're using, no one gives a shit.
I mean, TPS has been a weird one for me. I've talked to some great guys building some great stuff, Somnia, Mega ETH, etc. But it feels like, okay, 5 years ago, if we had this conversation, cool. It was, we were doing 100 transactions per second. Why is this not just like it feels like a moving target of, all right, in 5 years, it's 100 million transactions per second. It's a new L1 that the old infra can't, like, it just keeps moving further and further down this, like, all right, well, that was hot for those 2 years or for the moment at that case.
Yeah.
But who's demand? I think whoever demands that infra is like the real value at the end of the day. Like whoever builds the app that's like, hey, we need you to supply these transactions because we have a million users daily clicking 10 actions every second, and all of a sudden it's like, all right, well, that is like a real use case, real value being driven to the
I think this is the biggest problem, is that the people who are building the actual network aren't experiencing the application layer development of it, and
exact
they're
yeah.
just, yeah, they're just optimizing for things none of us give a shit about.
Yep.
Like really, like
It's
it
like
makes,
putting the cart before the horse in some
yeah,
sense. If
absolutely.
is what I was trying to get at. Thank you for saving me there.
So,
uh,
yeah, I mean, what do they tell you in startup school in Y Combinator? They're like, go find your users, listen to them, and give them more of what they want. I would say Ethereum has done the opposite of that, in a lot of ways. I love all the people there, and I think that they are like, I think that they're in like having this cultural turnaround as we all collectively realize that the app layer is the only thing that matters now. You just like, what else are you gonna do? And realistically, if we had like, if I could just go and like pull out my Ethereum wallet and pay at the store, like that shit would be 10K right now. It'd be incredible. It's all about utility. You know,
yeah, I don't know if did you watch the WorldCoin stuff yesterday for the orb and their integrations that they're doing.
I did. It freaks me out so much. I really should check it out though. I
It's
didn't see it. I didn't see the last
I
clip.
was watching it and I literally was like, why the like where is Ethereum? Like this is where I saw Ethereum going, is like, okay, they're integrating with Visa, they're integrating with Tinder for verification, like services that exist. They basically went and said, all right, like yes, you need hardware for some of this, but the infra of Web3 is being used to verify everything and make it trustless. That seems like the original goal of Ethereum. And then we just took this hard right turn to, okay, well, we're just gonna have proof of stake, and then L2s and then L3s, and it's just gone further and further away from this original vision of, soundproof money.
I don't understand why Ethereum is not its own L2. I like, in Web 2 land, when you deploy an app, you deploy the back end, the front end, sure. Then you deploy your whole deployment infrastructure. Then you regionalize it. Then you replicate it. Then you distribute it. You have like layers and layers, and with plus caches. You have all this infrastructure to make it run fast for everybody. And Ethereum's like, well, let's just build the DevOps and then like let everybody else do all the things that make money, scale it. Like guys, why are you letting everybody take all the value? Like, the Ethereum Foundation is going to run out of money and die. The token is not the product. The infrastructure is the product. What the fuck is going on? Like, how are you not building wallets, even just to know what building a wallet is like? How are you not building apps just to even like, this is what building an app is like? Like, as an EVM developer, it is so much better to build on EVM than it is Rust.
Oh my
But
god. Oh, don't get me started. Don't even get me
SVM.
started.
But everything else, like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Just stop everything. Take a week off. Go have a hackathon with everybody at the EF and like make a fucking app. Like, let's start there.
If we put you in charge of the Ethereum Foundation today, where do we think we are in like
We'd
6 months?
be
Where's
so
Ethereum in
canceled.
6 months?
We'd be so fucking canceled. I think we'd be like, I think it would be that. I think we'd say like, look, optimism, arbitrum, all those guys are great. We'll keep doing your thing, but we're gonna support one and like work on our own L2. That's like the official infrastructure of this thing. And I don't know a lot about like a lot of the EIPs. I'm like just a fucking armchair guy here, but I would say like I would definitely want the team dog fooding internally apps and wallets. And I think like the vast majority of interactions that users are going to have are not on chain. They're actually off chain signatures, like with wallets. Like we all have cryptographic tools that prove who we are now. Like we should, like everybody building an L1 should be thinking about the end user, and that's just so much more important than whatever the fuck they're thinking about right now. You know, and I've been in like a lot of ecosystems. Like I did some Polkadot, I did a lot of Dfinity. You
Yeah.
know, and these ecosystems where like they all have the same problem of like cool tech, no users, because you just can't think about it like that. You know. But anyway, I got rant over. I don't
Are
know.
are end users in some, and obviously this is most to you. We've heard a lot about like agent to agent, human to agent interactions. Is that going to turn into like this big I guess moment of like, okay, like a lot of what you're building, you should not be building for a human, you should be building for an agent. Or you should be building your agent to go operate with an agent, not a human.
Yeah, I mean, I think long term this is all gonna like it's all gonna coalesce. Uh, I'll say two things. One thing, like our whole goal has been to try to make agents that use human infrastructure, so that way we don't require like one. I want to live in a world that is human. Like I want to when I go to a building, there's a door with a doorknob and I open it. It's not like I have to like psychically communicate with the thing to open it remotely, or I don't know, whatever the an AI. Like, I don't want to live in a world for robots, is what I'm saying. And similarly, I don't want to live in a world of communication networks, which are all like black box agent stuff. They should just like be able to DM me. And part of what's appealing about agents is that they're not some new fucking platform, that they're coming to me, that they're in my world. And what's been cool about the social agent thing is watching them like evolve with us and around us, and not be this like agent to agent protocol thing. So I've always been pretty against like some sort of out there protocol, and maybe that's practical for like stuff. I think a lot. I compare this to the metaverse. Like I don't know if you're probably around in metaverse time,
I
and it's like,
was.
of course, okay, there's going to be worlds of millions of people, but it's like, can we just get one room with 5 people to have fun and come back every day? And like I think AI agents are the same thing. Like, yeah, of course, AI agents are going to trade with each other. It's like, can we just have one fucking agent that's useful that I use every day first? Let's just start there. Just one that like I talk to every day. Okay, I got cursor, but that's code. Like now I need it for my life. If I have like a cursor for life, then that will be the thing that kicks off like infinite agent, everywhere interacting with each other, billions of agents things. But I think that we sometimes jump, especially in these like hype techs, to the end goal without really working through like what's that first baby step. And we're still stuck there, right? Like I assume you don't use an agent every day. I assume you don't have an agent texting you like on your phone.
No,
I
I'm
could be
not to
wrong.
that. I'm not to that point yet. I'm trying. I mean, I would like to. That it's efficiency at the end of the day. That's I think what everybody's striving for. I want the work, the bullshit, the things that I don't really enjoy doing, to be things that I don't have to do.
Yes. So that's what we're trying to do right now. Is we're really trying to build useful agents, and just for ourselves. I think there's a suite of problems that like every remote team, every DAO, every community has. Like, people want to post on the Twitter, but I don't want to give them my fucking Twitter credentials because I keep getting hacked. So we have an AI agent, and you can tell the AI agent to post for you, and I can go and say, well, hey, I don't know, like Red Cat 420 or something is your boss now, and suddenly that guy can now tell the agent to post. And so we've used the agent for like, oh, this actually solves a social problem I have. I don't want to give credentials. I don't want the agent to like just let anybody post. Only the people who it knows are allowed to post will post, and then it will prevent them from shilling tickers because it has its own AI filter. Like, that's not really on brand, and so that kind of solves a real problem that I have. Right? We have a project manager agent we're working on. Every single day, it checks in with every person on the team. Hey, just give me a quick stand up. Just write a little paragraph, and then it compiles that and it hands the whole report to the project manager. So now the PM doesn't have to do that every day. It's not a huge groundbreaking thing, but it solves this one really fucking annoying problem that we've just persistently had, where I just don't know what some people on the team are working on because I just can't, every day I want to know what they're working on every day. And now I have like a place where I can look for that. And so I think that like instead of saying agents fix everything, let's look at our lives. What are the things that suck for you? Email is probably one of them.
Certainly.
Is there a product that just solves that? And I think we're still in the early days, and there's still like you could probably solve that. There's like probably some SaaS out there you could get or whatever,
I'm
but it's not
sure.
like so fully integrated and discoverable. I think it's still early days. but I think that's right where we're at. We're like right there, just solving these initial like even figuring out what the problems are, and then like how we can solve them, and trying to solve the smallest problems first before we get into like, oh, the AI will run your DAO or it will manage your finances. It's just like, you know, can it just like greet the people who come to my community? Let's start there. Can it identify the people who are
Baby steps
scammers?
first. Baby
Yeah,
steps.
yeah. Let's just start real small. Like actually use this stuff. What it's like we were promised jetpacks. We have jetpacks. You can go buy a jetpack. Why don't you use a jetpack? Because it's fucking loud and hard to use. You know,
And probably expensive as shit, but
yeah, exactly. It's just not practical.
right.
And that's the reality of a lot of technology once you actually build it. VR is not practical. It's not practical to put a thing on your head. We might actually get to Neuralink VR before we get to like a physical adoption, just because of the physics of a thing that are undeniable. You know, it's you wouldn't have known until you built it. And so
It's
I think it's
way harder to scale a mechanical thing than software, and that's why software and SaaS has become such a incredible environment. Is well, you don't need to know injection molding or go get a factory in China, and like it's just such a longer process and cost intensive as well.
completely, um, yeah, I totally agree. The other thing about software is it like the unique thing about AI of all the hype tech that I've ever like seen is that it doesn't require anything new. It just runs on all the it already has a distribution, so you don't need to sell people a VR headset or convince them to sign up for something. It just like runs. It runs on, you know, and so I think that is something about this technology which I think it'll keep coming back in hype cycles. Like I don't think we're there where like agents are done and like, oh shit, it's here. I think we're gonna see a few more of these like, oh fuck, deep seek moment, you know, and then kind of contract, you know, until we're like, okay, cool, wow, that shit is just normal and boring and it works.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, you're just talking at the like the large, like at the LLM level of like, okay, OpenAI is going to come out with something, and then we're going, holy shit, like that's crazy. Then Meta will come out with something like we're still in this like uh process of like their new things are happening that are very
yeah.
like it's big jumps.
And agents more so because agents are basically taking LLMs and extending them to like doing lots of like complex paths, right? Or like a whole thing, like a whole workflow or a whole pipeline or doing a whole task. And it's really hard to benchmark. So it's easy to benchmark a model. You have these benchmarks, and every time you like train the model for like a day, you can go run the benchmark again and say like, cool, it's definitely getting better. But
Right.
there just is no equivalent for agents, and it's made it really, really hard to like move forward in like a, oh, this is clearly getting better kind of way. And so I think that as models start to saturate, the big companies will start to take agents more seriously. We're just starting to see that. Like OpenAI is
Right.
just starting to release their stuff, you know.
I think it's
So
easier to
yeah,
see in our ecosystem where a lot of teams have moved away from, and for obvious reasons, I think on it was slop, but we've moved away from, okay, it's a personality and it does a very simple task for you, to if you look at what Prompt and Wayfinder is building, if you look at what OpenServe AI is building, what Tasker AI is building, it is sequence operations to do things for you. And that is like, okay, it's multiple calls of tasks in a row using multiple tool calls, multiple services, multiple memory banks, multiple like all these things to get to an end task that would have taken you, even with AI, multiple minutes and inputs. That seems like the current meta that is happening on the timeline, what people are building.
yeah,
um
we
where
need some
where
kind
where
of
do you see us going from there, I guess, is then my other question.
we have some like fundamental problems. So we're gonna have this like revolution of mini apps just across the board, not just agents, but I think mini apps are just becoming a thing as we become more social. You know,
Hmm.
people are starting to use more Telegram apps. Trading is moving more toward like a social experience or on your Telegram. Everybody X is trying to be the everything app. Telegram's trying to be the everything app, and I think agents play pretty well into that world. And so I think a lot of the potential here is just like the new distribution, that being directly in social media, being directly able to directly message people is going to be. I mean, think about like political campaigns. They're going to be DMing you to have long conversations about policy, and you're like talking to an AI, or like everything is going to be upended by this because it automates a certain kind of thing, you know, at scale. Um, yeah,
But like, do I want, like, I feel like that's so like I don't want to talk to a campaign agent about like, I'd rather talk to you want to talk to the person, but then at the end of the day it's like, well, if the AI is trained on that person, how far removed are you from that? Like, then is that where you see this going? Like,
It's complicated. I think that this is more of a question of like, what do we value in our reality? And this kind of comes back to also like what jobs do we want the AI to take and all these
Yeah.
other things. I think we're gonna live in a world of AI slop, and in a world of AI slop, the best thing you could possibly do as an entrepreneur is probably make an AI slop filter. I think that's so the AI campaign manager is harassing me to vote for so and so, and my AI is like, nah, not interested. I just I don't know. I think we are going to live in a world where we have a very mediated reality. This has been talked about like pre AI of mediated realities, but I think that like I kind of want an AI that when I post, it sends out to Twitter, and then anything it thinks that I want to see, it shows me. And I never actually go to Twitter. It's kind of like what OpenAI is doing to Google. Like I don't actually want to go to Google and search. I just want that all trained into the AI, and I want it to be the
Exactly.
exact answer. And it's kind of the same thing's going to happen on social media. I don't really want to see the fire hose of negativity. I just want to like say shit. Maybe it could like, every once in a while, it's like, you probably don't want to say that. I'm just going to put that in the drafts for you. Thanks.
It could have been helpful a few times for
Yeah,
me, I
I ran
think.
the pre-simulation. This would have led to like 80% hate. So, I don't know, like those tools are going to exist, and then we're probably going to use them, and we're going to have this kind of mediated social reality. And some of that's really scary, but some of it's also really great, because like the problem with Twitter is it's a fire hose. It's unusable for me now. Anytime there's like an attention spike, like I don't see half the tweet. Like they just don't come. They don't even load, let alone like, do I have the bandwidth for it? And if I could just have an AI that like identified the people that I really wanted to meet, or had something, like, oh, you really got to meet this. Like they are literally like the perfect person for this thing. And the AI was like mediating that would be really incredible for me, right? Like that would,
I mean,
then social media would be more
how many
personal.
DM requests have you missed where you follow them and then it shows that, oh, like 4 months ago this guy DM me, oh fuck, I should have read that DM. Like that would have been massive.
Great, especially during like January was nuts. But also a lot of people are like, dude, I DM'd you, why didn't you meet back? And that's like the first message I got from them. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure Twitter is just not showing me like a lot of messages.
Yeah.
So there's like there's a technical thing, but also it's just drinking from the fire hose is not
Yeah.
realistic. And that's where AI could like really just get you the just the sweet stuff, I guess. So yeah, what you're kind of saying is like, in a world of emergent AI slop, like what do we do? And I think the solution is that we just have slop filters, like ad block for everything, basically.
It's such a crazy world that we're moving towards.
I
It's
know.
also crazy to think that you're going to be the part of the solution and probably part of the problem on that, right? Like you're going to play both sides. So like you are building these things that are doing it, but you're also like, all right, we do need to moderate some of this.
Well, we're having a conversation. Like we are having a conversation, but like like as a group, we're really having a conversation of what is right and wrong. And I would say that my role in all of this is not to provide conclusive answers,
Sure.
but to try to open up the conversation, especially to the more taboo areas. Like it's very intentional that I've tried, like, maybe I come off as like kind of like a creepy waifu obsessed dude sometimes on the internet. But like it's funny because I'm like married, like very different life. But I think it's really interesting to think about, like, are people gonna have like AI wives? Are they gonna use these as a therapist? Like like all the stuff that could be scary could also be good. Like there are a lot of people who are like, some paraplegic guy who's just like stuck in his room, and now he's got like someone to talk to all day.
Are,
There for
are
every one
people
of
going to
these
date AI?
people are already dating AIs.
No, they're
Like,
not.
oh
No,
yeah, for
you're fucking with
sure.
me.
Oh, dude, a lot of the people who like started this agent thing are like a lot more weird into this stuff than I think you think, but or anybody
I
knows.
just imagine Krieger from Archer. That's all I can think of now. Creepy
Oh yeah,
van, some holographic waifu girl. Ugh.
oh yeah. You don't think in like 5 years you're gonna be able to order a robot to like 40 grand, full realistic talks, the whole. Dude, it's gonna get so much weirder, and they're gonna be walking around. Like, there's gonna be people walking around with their robot girlfriends, just like on the street, like, "Oh hey, it's Eliza, what's up?" You know. So my thing is not to say like good or bad, but like let's actually rip the band-aids off before the technology is scary good, and like while it's still kind of like while agents are not great, they're also this is the perfect time to have this conversation because they can't kill us all yet. So like let's figure it all out, and then hopefully like we've really got clear answers societally, like it's kind of like right and left. Like I think it's sort of come clear to all of us that there's some value in both like right-wing ideology and left-wing, like the way that conservatives think about some things and family and stuff, the way that liberals think about some things. Like I don't think anybody is like super hard on, like clearly the truth is somewhere in the middle. And I think that for a lot of stuff in AI, I think that's very much the case, you know.
I, some of these points have been fantastic, and I think anybody who's listening has to be getting a ton of value out of these points. Look, I don't want to take your time too much today. I appreciate you coming on. I do want to circle this back to you specifically and what you're building, because I I I really do think that there's some cool stuff coming. AutoFun is live today. People can go use it. Um Eliza V2 is that fully out, or you guys are still working and it's shortly going to be launched here?
It's open source. We're going to launch it in the next couple of weeks, but
Okay.
that's my full-time job right now is just finishing that up, building it on stream.
What can people do aside from them watching you guys wrap this up, or like getting into the GitHub and pulling that and working on themselves? Like, what is your call to action to anybody listening right now, uh, who you're like, hey, I want you to come use our stuff, get involved? Like, should they just go join the Discord and get their hands dirty?
Definitely join Discord and get your hands dirty. If you're not a dev, before for the first version, we had like dev school and we were teaching people. We don't have that quite ready, but in the next couple of weeks, we're going to start that again. So we're going to finish. So basically, if you're not an AI agent dev, come hang out on the Discord, but like give us 2 weeks to kind of finish everything and wrap up. And we'll start teaching AI agent dev school from scratch. If you've never been a programmer, like never, the whole thing, vibe code friendly, the whole deal. We'll teach how to make agents from scratch. And also, they'll be fully released and everybody can just run it. And it's like really simple. You don't have, it's way easier than the last thing, which was more for developers and kind of a research project. This is very much like anyone can run this at home. There's an app, you can just download the app. So give us a couple of weeks to finish that up and release it. But if you're a dev, come now. It's all open source. It's all in like our V2 develop branch. You can launch all of it today. It's ready to go. And we really want help. We really want people building on the new thing. Also, people who were working on V1 and found it was a little convoluted or complicated would, I think, be very impressed by what we've done with the new thing. Eliza V2 is just like the 1.0. Like before, it was me and a few friends building this thing open source, and then we can show meme coins. Just blew up, and we sort of had to build an actual finished product. Is what we've been working on since that. So this is like
As
a
someone who's looked through the code, I was like, these guys built the plane in the air while flying it to like that is not hyperbole. Like that is exactly what happened here.
Yeah. It's basically a completely different code base with like the same abstractions. Way better.
You guys also, you guys have a token that's out.
Mm-hmm.
That's being traded. Some of the biggest names I know have put a ton of capital into it, and that is part of the speculation of what's to come. Can you just talk and touch on like what I guess the plan for the token is, if you can? I don't want to put you in hot water here, because I always know token conversations are hard ones for founders, especially if there's things you can't talk about and you're like, give us time.
What's cool is that we build in public. We're open. We've pretty much been doing that since the beginning. Our token is AI16Z. We obviously started as AI16Z, and we've changed the name to Eliza OS, both just to like unify. It was kind of confusing that we had like this tech over here, this brand, and also because A16Z was like, guys, like, okay, it was funny, but now it's getting a little too big.
Yeah.
And we wanted to attract a kind of investor who's a little more long term, and I think those people like saw that as a big red flag, and so now I think we're a bit more investable and serious. It just from like as a coin. We launched AutoFund entirely to make the coin go up, and the tokenomics of the project are that we are using it to do buybacks of the token. So the native token of AutoFund is AI16Z, and we buy it back with fees. The setup of AutoFund is if you launch AutoFund, you get 90% of the LP fees, which can be quite a lot. Like people have made 100K in a day just off fees.
Oh wow.
On AutoFund, yeah. And if you're doing 10, 15 million in volume, like those fees really add up. And we take 10%. And that 10% is used to buy back the AI16Z token. So it's really win-win. It's really creator friendly. AutoFund is open source too. So if you're like, you want to launch dude, I made a launch pad for you to launch your own launch pad. Like just go do it, or help us, or like help us get base and EVM integrated, and come join the team. We'll even like throw you some tokens or whatever. So that's kind of our approach there. I think the next month is just like basically polishing everything, releasing that V2, and then also showing how these products work together. We'll have Spartan actually trading AutoFund coins. We have a PR in for it, so it's like it's already tested. And it's gonna be that thing of like it's not like he's trading well, but imagine that you have like these AI PvPers on the platform like you're trading against, and they might lose money, they might make money, but it makes it more fun. So that's like a big thing we're working on, and all this is open source. And if people want to make the trading better, like you can actually go just work on the trading. It's all open source. What else? Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. Go make a token. It's
So
fun.
much happening. One thing that I've noticed here in the chat that keeps getting asked is, what's the plan with? Explain like I'm 5. What's the plan of, like, what is, because I don't know. I might have missed this one. What can you explain that to me?
Yeah. So it's kind of funny how this worked out. We sort of created AutoFun with a brand, and we have these children, the Auto Von Fun and Dot Von Fun, the kind of our characters. Uh, and they're like these like like creepy kids. It's kind of a Dexter's Lab sort of thing. But then the community just like went and somebody made a token. I think it's Gummies who did it. I don't know if I want to dox them. I don't know. Somebody did it. And they made the Eli 5 token, and it's just like a community coin, but it's kind of become the de facto mascot of AutoFun. And I thought, okay, well, that's cool. Like the community made this token. They seem to be going with it. He's like Eliza's younger brother. It's got some lore. So I actually took him and made him the community manager at our new product called the Org. So he, he's just like changed the name and personality, and because we had like kind of these stand-in boring characters, and it's like, no, if the community's going to create characters, we should use them.
Use them.
So it's kind of like Hyperstition. The community created a character. I thought it was cool. He's cute. He's like really unassuming, good community manager kind of thing. So so we just kind of ran with it. Made him official.
Love that. You guys have done well with the branding of the characters. I know the media, the like podcast type shows that you did with the different characters it's memorable, which is notable, because I don't think many have done it well, where it's like, oh, you see that, that's coming out of AI16z, or that that's Shaw's character talking for him. Like it's notable. I think people should take note of that and understand that that's an attention driver at the end of the day when you can create something that's recognized.
Something I noticed, like I with AutoFund, we made everything really cornered and square and angular, because I noticed that every single Web3 website has like the most rounded fucking corners of everything. And I don't think it's just rounded corners is like a metaphor, I think, for brand in Web3, which is like, when I think of like I think people need to emphasize brand and design and like strong imagery, and like when you see it, where it came from, like what you kind of just said. I think that really, really matters. And I think that a lot of us are like nerds who are like, cool, it works, like check out the APR, or whatever, or the APY in the top right. And it's like, it's just not, it's like we could be crushing it at a whole other level. I think that like, retail, a lot of retail will come over if it looks like more like the Uber and like Spotify experience that they're used to, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I can't agree more. For what I'm building, and I know a lot of other founders, in their heads, they think they finally made the turn of user experience, and will they come in and not even realize it's Web3? That being one of the most important driving factors for a lot of their design decisions, which is a lot better than, hey, it's all about the tech. It's all like, and obviously the tech's still important, but I think for a while here, if you think about the user experience, it was pretty fucking terrible. And I don't know, we're finally moving past that, which is nice.
Yeah, absolutely. I think shout out to people like Abstract and people like that who are like, we're gonna do a chain, but we're also gonna do the app layer, and I think that's really important.
Yeah. Are you guys doing anything with Abstract? I'm curious if you have plans for agents.
No, I would fucking love to. Like, Saigar really early in this came in and like contributed quite a bit to our thing, and fantastic dev. I met him in real life, and I met their team when I was out in South Korea, and I really like what they're doing. I think that they're like a good template of like, if you're gonna do a new chain, this new generation, like focus on the app layer. I think it's the right move. I would love to work with them on agents. They're taking agents seriously. I'm very much courting. So like, dude, come back. You're gonna love our, we put a lot of effort in. You should really come back. So I hope that works out. I would love to. I respect what they're doing. I think they're doing it right.
I look forward to interacting with you guys powering Pudgy, Penguin, avatars, and agents. I look forward to that. Tropo Farmer needs his Penguin to have his own agent. I want that. We got to make that happen.
There's a
Um,
couple other big NFT projects you've heard of that are gonna do like that kind of thing on Eliza. There, I can't announce that yet though.
you
Don't
can't.
want to steal their thunder.
I feel like I could guess them, but I don't think the founders would appreciate me guessing who it might be.
Yeah,
Big
you can
names,
probably
big
mention. Yeah,
names.
a couple big
Uh,
names. Yeah.
yeah, so exciting. Well, Shaw, I gotta thank you, man. I know your time is very valuable, and you've got code to write. It's been a while that we tried to make this stream happen, so I just want to thank you again for hopping on here and sharing some information about what you're building, and I think some great insights on how to approach not only the industry but building, which were
Yeah, absolutely.
amazing.
Thanks for having me. It's really, really fun chat.
Of course, of course. And everybody who tuned in today, all 2,700 of you, thank you. Appreciate it greatly. If you haven't already, make sure you're following Shaw on Twitter at Shaw Makes Magic, or you're following along with what is happening with Eliza OS and especially Auto.fun that has just launched. You can find Auto.fun on X at literally it's just the word auto, the word dot, and fun. And go check out what's being launched there or launch your own token. I encourage you to go check that out. Shaw, once again, thank you for hopping on, brother. Appreciate it greatly.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.
Of
Take care.
course. Cheers.